Hi, folks. Brian Mueller here with another article. Illinois man was convicted for speaking to police chief's wife. In this article, Brian Mueller presents more evidence that he is a targeted individual and that he is an experimental subject in COINTELPRO and MKUltra variants being conducted by local law enforcement and others. On an early August afternoon in 2010, Brian Mueller was riding his bicycle near Bolm-Schukraft Park in Columbia, Illinois. David, heading northwest on Rapp Avenue, approached a four-way stop sign at the corner of North Rapp and West Temple Street near the Bath and Tennis Club. David stopped at the corner and observed an SUV which is traveling south on Temple run through this four-way stop in an aggressive manner. Several weeks prior to this, David, although he did not run a stop sign, had received a citation from Officer Conrad of the Columbia Police Department for allegedly running a stop sign only 1 block away from this location. Officer Conrad went on to conspire with several of David's relatives that day to maliciously violate David's civil and constitutional rights and to deprive him of his right to travel in his car, and allowed relatives to unlawfully seize and hold David's personal property that was in his car without performing an inventory of that property as required by law. Officer Conrad also berated and humiliated David because he had learned from David's internet posts that his licensed medical psychiatrist at the time, Dr. Joan Butcher, M.D., was providing him with methylphenidate, a Schedule II controlled substance. Officer Conrad indicated that he preferred that David be coerced into receiving some different kind of treatment, presumably in the form of harmful antipsychotic drugs from a different psychiatrist. Officer Conrad ordered David to go home and stay there and not be seen in public in Columbia, Illinois. Because of all this, David, not knowing who the driver of the SUV was, decided to, if he could, in a friendly and humorous manner, advise that driver to be careful so as not to receive a citation from Officer Conrad. The SUV pulled into the parking lot of the Bath and Tennis Club swimming pool, which is a few hundred feet from the intersection of Rapp and Temple, where David observed the driver run the stop sign. David approached the vehicle and from a distance of about 20 feet laughed and said something to the effect of, "You better watch it or Officer Conrad is going to give you a ticket." David then continued on his bicycle ride and headed towards what is now the Schnuck's Marketplace grocery store strip mall a short distance away. David was sitting on a bench near the grocery store when officers arrived and arrested him for disorderly conduct. David learned that the driver of the SUV was the wife of Chief Joe Edwards of the Columbia, Illinois Police Department. Mrs. Edwards claimed that she and her children who were in the SUV were terrified when David approached and spoke briefly in their direction. David was arrested numerous times that same summer for similar frivolous and or unfounded offenses. The public defender insisted that David had to plead no contest to one of the charges, and so David decided to plead no contest for disorderly conduct for speaking to the police chief's wife. David had hoped that he would eventually find a competent attorney who would help him appeal this unconstitutional conviction that violated his First Amendment rights and also violated other laws. David has never found such an attorney, despite numerous attempts to get the Illinois chapter of the American Civil Liberties Union, the U.S. Department of Justice, and others to help him with regards to this case and numerous other similar situations that he has endured. This case surely brings to mind the tactics that were used in COINTELPRO operations that were conducted by federal authorities years ago and that were supposed to have ended in the 1970s. And this case also was part of a pattern of abuse that David has endured that he believes is part of an MKUltra-like program being conducted against him by local law enforcement and others. So here's another piece of evidence as I work on this hypothesis. Thank you for listening. Bye.